tuning in. We appreciate it. Thank you, Michael and Rogers, for having us here this evening. Dramas of a Baldhead Queen. I've always known that I wanted to be a writer. And for years, I joked about all of my antics and the things that were going on in my life. And I would say, ooh, it'll be in the book, joking. And one day, I was out with my friends Cabana and Tiff, and I was telling them something about Lord knows what was going on in my life at the time. And Cabana said, ooh, child, there you go with the dramas of the Baldhead Queen. And we all kind of stopped like, that's it, that's the name of the book. And as I sat on that for years, we joked about it when I sat on it for years. That had to have been in 2003. So around about 2006, I was really praying. It had been prophesied to me. It's a whole other story that I was supposed to write a book, and I agreed. I knew that was the case. Drama, so I started studying and thinking about how this title could mean more than just a joke at Applebee's. Dramas being a series of conflicting events or forces, and really that's all that life is. We battle between going left or right, the struggle between heaven and hell in the spiritual realm. Excuse me, should I grow my hair or not grow my hair, lock it, should I straighten it or not? And so that's pretty much where it came from. And the Baldhead Queen, because pretty much all my life, someone has called me baldhead, because sisters growing up, if we don't have hair down our back, we're a baldhead such and such, right? That's like the ultimate diss, like brother saying your mama on the basketball court. You don't do it, right? But people did. And so I took that, I flipped it on the world, and I'm embracing my baldheadness, and I'm good with that. So that's where all of that came from. So.
And you go right into one of the first parts of the book, which is about hair.
Yes.
And we all know, as black women, hair is a part of our identity. And we equate our hair with beauty, which you don't really see, I don't think, in many other cultures.
Right.
Now you probably do, but not as much as we identify with our hair. And so we can go ahead and get into a little bit of self-image. And I want to talk about a passage from the book, Dramas of a Baldhead Queen. And they can go to Amazon.com and get that.
Amazon.com, it's right there, it's for your Kindle, and it's on indiebound.org.
In Dramas, Nina says, I remember being compared to celebrities early in life. At 10, I was Buckwheat, Don King, Grace Jones, taunting a black girl with comparisons to lovable pickaninny rascals, and beautiful black models both idealized and ostracized for their otherness was the norm. These days, folks still try to put me in a box, lumping me in with the likes of NDRE. And although I'm not into expressing self-love as much as the next person, yes, I'm tired of the you look likes. Let's get into this. A brown girl,
right.
You are, from Kansas City.
Wichita even.
Yes.
Not even Kansas.
Yes.
I'm from Wichita. It's not even as much city as, we don't have gates.
But talk about what plagues a young brown girl.
Ooh-wee.
And her image of herself with her hair and how you have identity issues.
Right. One of the things that I reference in the book is that time that I'm going and I sit in this picture day, and we're preparing for the grand wicker chair that I think we all had growing up in the 80s, right? We all had that. And so I remember being in line, and the Life Touch representative, they used to hand out those little black combs. And I remember, and I had this little afro even in when I was in kindergarten. And I think that came from my father. At that time, I was living with my father. My parents were already divorced. I was living with my father. He had all these different women telling him what they need to do. You need to do this to the baby's hair. So by the time I was 4, I had already been subjected to the relaxer, to the press and curl, and to the Jerry curl. What? By 4? I've only been on the earth 4 years? And so my hair was so damaged that I had to get it cut off before I even went to kindergarten. And so I remember being in the line on picture day, and the Life Touch lady handed me a comb, and I looked at it like, what am I supposed to do with this? And this is in Park City, Kansas, which is like a suburb. They have like race car tracks and like they race dogs out there, and I mean, they good country folk. To put it nicely. And so growing up around that, the irony irony is that I didn't catch as much grief from them as I did from the people in my own community, in the black community. And they were the ones who would clown me. They clowned my brother and I because our father was a garbage man. They didn't consider the fact that he had his own company.
Right.
Okay, he was a trash man.
Yeah.
I was bald head. Never mind, I was beautiful. My hair didn't look like everyone else's, and so that was all a problem.
But what is it, and you guys feel free to join in and share your own stories, but what do you think that it is that is part of the origin of that? What is it about our culture that makes us have an identity crisis with hair? Because when you think about it in simplistic terms, it's hair.
Yeah.
It's just hair, but it's such an integral part of our day-to-day life.
I think growing up on the other side of the country in New York City, I remember the same things growing up, and that hair was just such a thing. It represented so much, and so if your hair was a certain way, or if it was done, or if it was neatly done, if it was long, if it was curly, if it looked like the 17 magazine, that said something about you as a person. And so I think for a long time our culture did not embrace how we could flip that, as Nina said, and really make it something positive. Yes, it does say something about me. I like that my hair has a tight curl pattern. So tight I have to cut it off and be free from it from a moment. Very tight.
Nappy, whatever.
Yeah, all the words right there. And so
blacks have always suffered from a issue of the lack of self-worth and self-identity. Not to take it back 400 years, but
at least 200.
Yeah, 200. When you are in a society that one barely embraces what you are, it's very difficult to then project a very strong self-image to the world. So I think, I had one of those pictures too, and I had a flat top. So guys, we had a little easy. White, black, your hair pretty much all looks the same, But I think as black folk, a lot of our issues with self-identity are really it's a long cultural thing, just amongst ourselves, and not really realizing that we're all shapes, sizes, shades, and learn to embrace each other. And so ultimately that, growing up in the 80s,
But as a man, I know this might sound like a crazy question, but I mean, do black men have a problem with their hair? I mean, do you have identity issues with your hair?
Not personally, but I will say this. I know friends of mine who are black and some are Hispanic, that they prefer women with long hair. I physically heard them say that. I had a friend of mine in high school, and she was biracial. Beautiful hair. Beautiful hair down her back. And she was dating a young man, and I believe he was Hispanic, and loved her hair. I was at work one day, and she came in happy. She said, "Raphael, look at her." She cut her hair, short, and it was curly, and she looked fabulous. And then she put her head down. She said, he hates it. And, it blew my mind, like, what changed? It's a hairstyle.
Right.
So I think men play a large part in that self-image thing with women, just how we expect women to look. And where does that image come from? Media. Your upbringing, your parents, what you value in beauty. And my thing was always, I wanted a woman who was confident in whatever she did.
Yes, Mr. Burton.
I just need a woman who was wear it. If you're gonna wear it, do it.
Okay.
If we're gonna go to the same barber, you gotta be, So I don't think so much amongst ourselves we have an issue with it. I just think it's how we project our desire on women.
Right. And we're actually going to touch back on that, because I do believe that we need to discuss how men really do play a part in how we view ourselves with our hair. I mean, a lot of times, like he said, we make the decision about our hair because of what we think the man will think about how we feel, or what they'll feel about our hair. So we'll get back into that. But something's calling me to talk to you, because this is what I love about Nina's book. The book, she's so transparent, and through her transparency, other people can talk about their own journey in life. Yeah. But I mean, you can't help to notice that you too are a Baldheadqueen yourself, and you have gone through a journey yourself. I just wanted to point that out, that I noticed that.
Right.
But I'm going to get back to that too. But I just wanted to point that out. Would you like? Go ahead.
I would, Angie, because this is the thing. When Angie first went free, natural. When I first met Angie, she wore wigs all the time.
Good.
All the time. It was always a different wig. And some people here, she has 10 wigs.
Okay.
And I remember, and so when I first saw her hair, she first decided to go natural. If I recall correctly, she still struggled with not knowing how to care for her natural hair. And I think that that's what happens with a lot of sisters when they make the decision to go natural, because they've been conditioned to doing otherwise for so long, they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so I remember we had to go through, she would call me or text me and be like, my hair is dry. What am I supposed to do? What in the world? And sisters don't understand. I've heard other sisters who have said, well, I want to go to the salon. I enjoy, I'm used to the camaraderie of going to the salon on Saturday mornings. And I'm like, then go to a salon that specializes in natural hair.
Yeah.
There's no excuse really at this point with the natural hair boom. But the thing is, Angie surrounded herself with sisters who knew what to do. And from there, she's more comfortable at this point with no hair. I guess I'm speaking for her at this point. And we enjoy being twins. Everywhere we go, people that's what we are. So.
And just so you know, Angie is online to take questions.
Yes.
And just so you know, she's not ignoring us.
Right. She's not checking her Twitter right now.
I know everybody was like, is Angie participating? But she's taking in questions.
Before we leave it here, because I think I love that Nina starts the book with all that moment, because for something that comes out of us to shape us so much and to be controlled so much by media, the fact that it happened so young is traumatic. It's traumatic for this thing that you sometimes have no control over.
Right.
You have my hair just comes out of my scalp like this. I've never gotten along with my hair, and it is like another person in my life.
Right.
I've never gotten along with it, and so going natural was a part of it, and then taking it off was another part. And I like the ones that are here, these that are here now, but much more than that, I can't get with. And so it's so interesting.
Exactly. I've never had long hair, so for me to cut my hair off was an